Hello, welcome to Eric on the Last Taboo. This is your host, Eric Diaz, and today I'm joined by my friend Gabriel Johnson.
Hello.
And today Gabriel is going to talk to us about his story, his experience with addiction and mental illness. And let's get started from the beginning. Gabriel, where are you from originally?
I was originally born at Crawford Long Hospital in East Atlanta.
So Crawford Long Hospital, East Atlanta. That means you're actually from Atlanta.
I'm an actual true to form ATLian.
Alrighty, and how old are you?
I'm 26 years old.
All right, and what was your drug of choice?
IV heroin, crack cocaine, whiskey, and sex and love.
All right, and let's start from the beginning. What was your childhood like?
Traumatic and corrupted.
What was traumatic and corrupted about it?
First I was born into a pretty bad part of town in the 90s, so I was exposed to a lot of criminal activity, drugs and violence and alcohol. And my mother, as a result, was addicted to crack cocaine when I was a child. My father was always working, trying to put food on the table. So I was free to roam around this bad part of town, which resulted also in me becoming molested several times by several men.
And these were not family members?
They were not.
They're just in the community and you're just wandering the streets?
Yes.
All right, and what is that neighborhood like now?
Gentrified. It's very nice, but they still have their hidden gems of crack houses.
All right.
One or two.
And did you ever tell anyone about the molestation?
Yes. My father found out about it, and I went to a lot of counseling. I went to court a lot because my father went to press charges on one of them in particular. Yeah.
All right, so your father was supportive of you?
Absolutely.
All right, and when did you first start doing heroin?
So I was given heroin at a very young age by these kids in the neighborhood.
You say kids, how old?
They were college years, so between 18 and 21. This was when my neighborhood started becoming gentrified. They were very well off. They went to Emory. They were junkies. And when I got high as a kid, I thought it was funny when I blew smoke in my dog's face to get him loaded. They thought it was sort of funny to give the 9-year-old a little tiny line of heroin.
Pretty sick sense of humor.
Yes.
And they were high when they did this?
They did. They were.
All right. And how often so you were 9, did you have access to more heroin?
Only through them.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know where to get it except for through them. So for the first couple years, it wasn't really used very consistently until I was about 11, almost 12, and I started doing it intravenously. And
you were able to get it at that age?
At that age, yes.
Okay. And when you eventually got caught, or when you eventually started seeing, what brought you into NA?
My mother was probably looking for money in my sock drawer, and instead of money for her addiction, she found some contraband. She found little baggies, empty baggies, and a syringe.
All right, so she found these baggies, and did she refer you to treatment or a 12-step fellowship?
12-step fellowship. She took me to an NA meeting.
Did she go with you to the first meeting?
She did.
All right, and how many 13, 14-year-olds were there at NA?
There was one, and it was me.
All right, and how were you treated at this NA meeting?
A lot of them were taken back. Some of them were judgmental. Some of them, said things like they spilled more dope than I shot, which was, congratulations, you screwed your life up more than I did.
So it was like, so they were trying to outdo you?
Sure.
All right. And
they were pretty much saying that I wasn't qualified to be there.
Okay. And did that keep you off drugs through high school?
It did. I was sober from 14 to 17.
What was your school like? Did you miss school? Were you disciplined a lot?
I missed school a lot, and yes, I was disciplined a lot. Through elementary school, I went to multiple elementary schools because I kept getting expelled. I was sort of like the outcast kind of kid. So I got in trouble a lot. My grades, I skated by with C's or D's. Barely passed. Only passed because I aced my tests and quizzes. I didn't do any classwork or homework because I thought I was better than that. I was a smart kid. I was just very stubborn.
All right. And then what did you do after graduation?
After graduation, I immediately went into an art school, private art school, for advertising.
All right. And you mentioned you were from a lower income family. How did you afford the art school?
I got some student loans. Being from a lower income family, I had more loans available to me. So that
all right.
That helped take.
And did you start? How did you start? When did you start using drugs in college?
Well, I started drinking pretty much immediately because we had a tradition. Every Thursday, we would go to this bar and take it over.
And were you over 21 at this time?
No.
Oh, okay.
And I started.
Did you have a fake ID?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I was just, I just knew how to ask.
Okay.
And then I rediscovered cocaine, rediscovered it, and I started producing low quality work, if any at all.
All right. And do you believe that alcohol triggered your cocaine relapse?
Absolutely. At that time, I did not consider myself an alcoholic. I do now. Every one of my relapses, every single bottom that I've reached has been started by just drinking one beer.
All right. So you start drinking, and then it causes the cocaine and heroin?
Yeah, I drink a beer. Within 10 minutes, I'm drinking whiskey. Within an hour, I'm doing cocaine. Within another hour, I'm doing crack. By the next day, I'm got a needle in my arm of heroin.
Okay. And of all these drugs, which would you say is the easiest to get, other than alcohol, now that you're over 21?
Unfortunately, I think heroin's a lot more accessible these days.
When you were under 21, was it easier to get alcohol or heroin?
Heroin.
Okay.
Definitely.
Do you think that's more inside the perimeter, or do you think that's Georgia as a whole?
The heroin?
Yeah, being easier to get than alcohol.
Well, I think that the heroin triangle is located just outside of the perimeter. The heroin triangle is known as a tri county area of Georgia. I think that a heroin is more prevalent nowadays in more fortunate parts of town.
Oh, okay. You mentioned heroin is more prominent in more affluent areas. Uh-huh. Did you ever hang out with people from wealthier families?
I did not. I stayed in my neighborhood. I was raised in the hood with gang members. So I hung out with them.
All right. And when you left college, what did you do?
When I left college, I got arrested for stealing food from a grocery store because I didn't have any money. I spent it all on drugs and I was hungry. So I spent a month in jail for that. When I got out, I of course failed school, dropped out, and
did you detox actually in the jail?
I did.
What type of, did they have any medication for you?
No.
Just cold turkey?
Just cold turkey.
Oh, okay.
So when I dropped out of school, I couldn't face the music with my parents, and I also wouldn't have been able to get high if I lived with my parents. So I just lived on the streets for about a year.
And when you say you lived on the streets, you mean on the streets? You were not couch surfing?
No, I was sleeping on the streets under a bridge.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what got you out from under the bridge?
I finally had enough. I knocked on my parents' door and said I need help.
All right,
which is when I went to treatment for the first time for drugs and alcohol.
All right. And the treatment was accessible?
No, I had the option to go to sober living after this stint in treatment, but I had chosen instead to, take the knowledge that I had gained through treatment and use it and apply it in my old playground.
Oh, okay. So you tried to stay sober while associating with the same people in the same area?
Yes.
How'd that work out for you?
Didn't work out at all. Within a week of my discharge from treatment, I relapsed.
All right. And what led you into recovery now?
Well, I was arrested in August, July, August of 2017, for probation violation, felony probation violation. The judge said that if I show my face in this courtroom one more time, he will charge me with the maximum sentence. For my particular charge, it would have been at least 15 years. There was also a stipulation that I needed to go to a sober living upon release from jail.
And what was the original charge?
Serious injury by vehicle.
Okay, and that was alcohol related?
Yes, that was a DUI.
All right. And then after you went back into recovery, how hard has it been to stay sober? Now, how many times did you... So that was the last time you relapsed. Mm-hmm. How many times had you relapsed before that?
Before that, there's an ongoing joke in Alcoholics Anonymous that you have somebody who relapses a lot has enough white chips to tile their bathroom. I was really high one night and I took all my white chips and I literally tiled my bathroom with them.
Okay.
And I had enough to work on the kitchen.
All right. And then now that you say you're in recovery, that was the final time. Mm-hmm. How much time do you have now?
I have 446 days, so I have 1 year, a little bit over 14 months.
All right, and you also have a psychiatric diagnosis.
I do. I was diagnosed with manic depression and PTSD.
Are you seeing a doctor for that?
I am.
So you do. Are you on medication?
I am.
Does that help you stay sober?
It does, as long as I maintain my regimen of medication.
Did you ever think that if you got your medication right, you can drink like a gentleman?
Of course.
All right. So, and you no longer feel that way?
No.
All right. And
through trial and error and trial
and error,
error and error, I found that I can.
How many alcoholics do you think are like you, that alcohol triggers harder drug use? Like how many heroin addicts had their relapse because they tried to drink? In your view?
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I think it's very common with addicts and alcoholics, and even if it doesn't reignite the obsession for hard drugs, I think that reigniting the phenomenon of craving will cause you to make poor choices. Such as get behind the wheel of a car. So
you have 14 months of recovery right now.
Yes.
What have you learned in those 14 months?
Oh my gosh, I've learned everything. Everything that I know, I've learned in the past 14 months. Before this time around, all I knew was crime and drugs and alcohol and the culture that accompanied it. Now I'm just now figuring out who Gabriel is.
Mm-hmm. And does it help you deal with setbacks? And like when you you mentioned earlier earlier in the day that you lost your job. Did you have a network to rely on?
I did. Recently I hit bottom in sobriety, where I fell into like a disassociated suicidal depression at 13 months sober, and I didn't want to live anymore. Mm-hmm. And I lost everything. I lost several people. That's what jump started it. I was also not taking my meds very responsibly, and as a result, I was working at a sober living. I lost that job, lost my apartment, lost my regular job at the coffee
mm-hmm.
shop. So within 2 weeks, I lost everything.
So, but what I thought was so cool is that you didn't go out, drink, or use. You sought help from a mental health professional.
Yeah, which is incredible for me, because I'm the kind of guy who, regardless of why I'm being admitted to a psych hospital, I would use that as justification to just use once.
Yeah.
Which I didn't do this time, surprisingly.
All right. And then when you got out, you stayed sober?
I stayed sober.
All right. Now that I say you have 14 months, are you done with drugs and alcohol for good?
Yeah, abstinent completely.
All right. And what would you tell your younger self if you can go back in time and have a talk with yourself?
Don't be afraid of success, and you deserve love.
And if you were going to change policy in the state of Georgia, what would it be?
For a drug addiction?
Drug addiction.
I think I would try to remove the stigma of criminality that's attached to drugs and alcohol and the culture that.
All right. And what are your goals moving forward with the rest of your life?
I would like to work in the recovery field. I think that's my purpose here on earth, is to help other drug addicts, alcoholics, and people who struggle with trauma. I feel as though I'm a voice for the voiceless.
Well, Gabriel, I think everyone listening is very proud of you. Thank you. Thanks for coming on, and thank you for listening. And tune in next week.
Thank you.